Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Old Salty Store podcast. We appreciate everybody coming out today. Today is Saturday, May 18th, and it's been a little cloudy, but on the most part, it's been a great, beautiful day, and we've had a nice picking session this morning, and we're going to do a special broadcast for today. With me today, I've got Dr. Eric Rader from Cornelia, Georgia. And our guests today are Joe and Debbie Lee Welchel, who are from White County and live in the Sky Lake community. Welcome, Joe and Debbie and Eric.
Thank you,
Appreciate y'all
Don.
being out here this morning. And they're going to talk about their experiences in old time and Appalachian music. And we're just looking forward to having them tell us about their journey with the music that they love and play today. Okay.
Well, what we like most about the music that we play is that it has such a rich history. Old-time music, the banjo, open back banjo actually came from Africa, and they had something that was called an akanti over in Africa, and then when the slave trade happened, they came to the United States and developed the clawhammer banjo, an open back style banjo that originally came from gourds and groundhog skin, and then the music just developed from there, from back in the late 1700s.
Was the Akante from Africa, was that first with a tortoise shell? Because I've seen ones with tortoise shell back and then the drum face.
Yeah, I've never actually seen a real live Akante, so I don't know. I mean, it's just
they brought some semblance of the banjo over there with them.
And the banjo, that kind of started it all, and then the Civil War came, and some of the folks started learning the clawhammer banjo from the slaves that were.
And of course, right in the middle of all of that, you had those Eastern European migrations over here, a lot of the British Isles, Ireland and England and so forth. In Ireland they had the great potato famines, which drove a tremendous number of those people over here on their ships. And the only thing they had room to carry on their ships were their clothing and their fiddles. You couldn't carry any other instruments of any larger size. So there were a lot of fiddles that came over back in the early migration periods. And so that, combine the fiddles with the banjo, and that's sort of how old-time music got started, is mostly with those two instruments, and mostly done for or done for square dances, barn dances, that sort of thing. It was mostly dance music. And then later on, in later years, we've added other instruments to it, like guitar, bass, and mandolin, and so forth. But old time is a different style of music than bluegrass music. Old time music is it's its own thing. It's really different. Deb and I started, we got together 20 years ago. We both were divorced and got together in bluegrass music. That's how we met. And we're doing that for a while, but up here we just kind of fell in love with that old time mountain sound. It was just had a haunting melody to it that just reached down and grabbed you. And Deb picked up clawhammer banjo. She was doing a bluegrass banjo, but she picked up clawhammer banjo, and you can sit and play it all by yourself and with no other instruments and sing with it. And
now, is Fralin style, is that without that fifth string? Is usually Fralin, like Grandpa Jones?
No.
Basically clawhammer.
It's but there's always 5-string banjos.
I've always wondered the difference between Fralin and clawhammer.
There's a tenor banjo without a fifth string, but this is different here.
And I know the old-timey crowd, those old-timey fiddlers, they'll let you know, say, no, this is not bluegrass, this is old-timey. They're very particular about that.
Very different
They're going to play Red-Haired Boy or Whiskey Before Breakfast or something like old fiddle tunes that all of a sudden when Doc Watson started coming on, he says, hey, I can play some leads too. So, Doc would sit in there and he'd do those hot licks off like nobody heard coming out of the guitar before.
Right, he was a good Fralin banjo player. Clawhammer style banjo player too.
So how did you get to White County, Georgia?
Well, we lived in Atlanta. We were working out our careers in Atlanta and just needed to get retired. I retired first. She retired next. We had a place up here on Lynch Mountain Road for a weekend place, and then we both got fully extricated from Atlanta and moved up here. And every time we used to come up here on the weekends, there would always be a jam session over at the coffee house over here, at Sweetwater Coffee House, and it was old time jam and maybe some Irish music along with it. And they don't do that so much anymore, but we used to do that every weekend, and that's how we got anchored in this old time music.
I had never heard of old time music till I met him. I mean, I had just barely started in bluegrass. And then he was playing half and half, and I quickly became a captive of old time music.
One of the things she likes about it is that she can. You can't do this with bluegrass banjo, but you can sit there on the porch by yourself and just play a tune on that banjo and sing along with it. Why don't you try that tune, Little Red Rocking Chair?
And this is an old time. Appalachian tune that probably migrated over from Ireland, but it's a lot of what they would play on their front porches, and I'll just do a little sample of it.
Well, you just play.
I'll just do a sample of it. Ain't got no use for the little red rocking chair. Got no sugar, honey, baby. And who'll rock that cradle? Who'll sing that song? Who'll rock that cradle when you're gone? Well, I'll rock that cradle. I'll sing that song. I'll rock that cradle when you're gone. And ain't got no use for the little red rocking chair. Got no sugar, honey, baby. Got no sugar, honey, baby. Something like that. That is what you would hear on front porches in the Appalachians.
I like your singing style. I mean, that is that kind of that old Appalachian where you kind of slide into this, slide into a note. That's very traditional.
Yes, it is.
That song was about.
I hear that old recordings.
Yeah.
A lot of the early settlers, had really difficult financial times, and a young couple just getting started somewhere couldn't necessarily make it on their own, and they just couldn't feed the family. And sometimes the young girl would have to just go back home to mama, and that was kind of what the idea was behind that song right here.
Well, how do you think this type of music fits into our area, our locale here?
Oh gosh, it is just so indigenous to this area. I mean, I have no doubt here, your store, the Old Saltee store, after the Civil War, there undoubtedly would have been banjo picker and a fiddle player or more sitting up on that porch playing this very same music. I have no doubt about that. But it's just never really lost this area. As a matter of fact, the old-time musicians, you're talking about the difference in the culture and bluegrass and old-time music. This area right here in particular has a rich history of this kind of music, and they, in fact, bringing it to the current, 2024, they have a contra dance over here in this gym at SNCA every month, and it'll be a band coming through playing the same music, same kind of music. Sometimes they modernize it a little bit. They'll jazz it up a little bit and bring it into more of a modern kind of a tone and sound. But it's all the same music, played the same way.
A funny story is my grandfather was an old-time fiddle player. So growing up, he would come in from the fields and sit down and play music. He played all by ear. And it was just, in my life, it was just, that's who Grandpa was. I was into Fleetwood Mac and Bob Seger, I mean, all the rock stuff. And I never much paid mind to my grandfather, but now, boy, I wish I could go
down
back and play with him, because he played all the old time music, played for square dances, and so that's kind of special. He planted a seed that I didn't even know about way back a long time ago.
And I think Jerry Garcia was playing in a band called Old and the Way,
Yep.
and they had some great old Peter Rowan
Yes.
but anyway, I think he really brought some of the kids into starting to listen to bluegrass music, and then there was a lot of crossover, because a lot of people in my crowd were oh yeah, I do bluegrass too. That's kind of a new thing, a new old thing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, bluegrass absolutely came out of old time music.
Matter of fact, bluegrass
Yeah.
stole a lot of the
songs
old
and,
time music.
Yeah,
and
and
Bill
made it
Monroe
them-
was the founder, theoretically the founder of bluegrass music, and someone asked him once what his influences were in putting together that particular combination of instruments and musical style. He said, well, it was old time mountain music and blues and a little bit of Irish, and you just throw them in a pot together and stir them up.
Yep. Well, he was kind of upstart back in those. He was the crazy wild young crew coming through and messing thing and kind of putting a.
Oh yeah, he made big theater out of it.
Yeah.
He would
was really
ride
popular
in
for
on
a
his
long
horse. He would have they would pull a trailer behind him on the road, and he would let his horse out, and he would go backstage there and get on that horse and have to ride in on that horse. There is this entry onto the stage.
Showman.
He was a man who really had a very high regard for himself.
Yeah.
That's what we hear.
That's what the reputation is.
Yeah.
Well, I remember he told Peter Rowan, he said, "Boy, it says, your voice sounds a whole lot like mine." I said, "Well, thank you, sir." He says, "No, I don't mean that as a compliment. I don't want anybody sounding like me. You need to sound a little different."
I knew a guy down in Atlanta who was a bluegrass historian and also a really good bluegrass musician, touring musician. He once had a chance to interview Bill Monroe just before Bill Monroe died. I think he was in the hospital and probably in his dying bed. And this guy asked him and said, "So Bill, when you pass away, who do you know of, who can you think of in bluegrass music who can take your place?" And Bill said, "Nobody."
You can't argue with a man when he's right.
He knew a thing or two about music, but he didn't have that humility thing down very well.
Well, give us another example
Yeah.
of the.
Well, yeah, of course, most of this music is real more up tempo for dances. You got one in mind there that kind of we could do a little faster, maybe?
Well, I could. We could do chilly ones. I could take
Chilly
this
ones,
little
yeah, that's a
capo
good
off
one.
and just give me a second here,
Yeah.
and I'll.
Okay, G minor.
And we won't do the whole song. We'll just give you a little sample, a little. I'm going where the chilly winds don't blow. I'm going where the chilly winds don't blow. I'm going where the chilly winds don't blow. I'm going down that long lonesome road. I'm going down that long lonesome road. I'm going where the water tastes like wine.
I'm going where the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. I see you when your troubles are like mine. I see you when your troubles are like mine. There are a whole bunch of verses to that.
I like
A whole
that
bunch of
song.
verses to that
Yes,
song, but
many verses.
that's
Yeah. And many versions of that song.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Many verses, many versions.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Kinda.
So Debbie, you recently played for a local play that was produced about
Yes,
our area.
Yes. Well, I've done two recently. I did Hardman Farms. I did Valley Voices, And then just about a month ago, I did Cheever, both plays written by Emory Jones, who is a local playwright in this area and very talented. And I love working with Emory, and it's always a pleasure to.
Emory
You
is
wrote a
you-
few.
is-
You wrote a few for them, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I wrote. Yeah, I wrote one. called
I've
Valley
heard some of those
Voices.
songs. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, Emory, as you know, he's quite a historian of the area himself, and he combines that sort of old-time Appalachian style way
In
of
his
communicating in his writing. But he's
Sure
really,
is.
really good playwright. And he usually calls Deb up and asks her to do the music for it, and it's almost always just her sitting there off stage, with a banjo or a guitar or both,
Yeah.
and just kind of
Doing
adding a
some
little bit of fill,
transitions and
fill
acts
music,
and-
a little
yeah.
character music into the in between things.
And some great compositions. I heard something you played last week or week before that was, I think you wrote for that play.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Why don't you-
was
why- yeah, you could do
absolutely
that one if you want to.
beautiful. I would
That's
love to
Valley
hear that.
Voices.
I would love to hear that. Something from you.
Okay, we can do that one too.
Yeah, that's when I wrote.
That's one she wrote for Lynch Mountain, which is right here behind your store, as you know. She called it Lynch Mountain Lament. It's just a tune, no song, just a fiddle tune. And she wrote it in honor of the great Indian migration out of here, the Trail of Tears, basically.
Yeah, in this song, Emery's play, Valley Voices, had several acts in it, and it brought us up to not current, but it started with the person who first settled the Hardman farm, or built the Hardman farm, and then it went up through Captain Nichols and through the Governor Hardman. And so in this song, I tried to encompass a lot of the history of the valley here. So I'm not going to play the whole song because it is fairly long, but I'll do just a little bit. Valley voices, I can hear you whispering softly through the pines, reaching up to the sky. Valley voices, I can hear you clearly. Your spirit and your legends resting here in my mind, and I will fly, fly, fly o'er this valley and the woodlands, white-tailed deer running wild, and I will fly, fly, fly like the red-tailed hawk and blackbird, weaving through the sky, they will fly. Cherokee Rose, the river flows, and the Trail of Tears, I still can hear you echo through these hills. Mothers weeping for no more keeping this land they love, like the setting sun marched west, fell away, but they still fly, fly, they still fly, 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 they still fly.
Wow.
There you
That's
go.
a shortened version.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that one.
So, one of the things that we love about this kind of music, and we love this kind of music, and because we love this kind of music, it's really important for us to pass on this tradition to the younger folks. And Joe and I, mostly, I guess I am involved in the Dahlonega Pick and Bow, which is for the youth. They have an ongoing classes all through the school year, 1 or 2 nights a week, and then they have a summer camp that promotes old time and Appalachian music, bluegrass, and it's very successful. And over here in Sawtee, we are this fall starting a JAM program, which is the Junior Appalachian Music Program for youth. And registration will start, I think, in August, maybe a little bit before that. But
SNC
it's
that
SNCA
sponsors
is
that, right?
sponsoring that here in Sawtee, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing how some little kids pick up this music. This stuff is
Yep.
just, a couple of hundred years old.
A lot of them have gone
they'll just
on and actually performed.
jump on it and just and learn it quickly.
They've performed at the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, they get good.
Yeah, they get good fast.
They get good.
You made it to the Opry. You know you made it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Unlike when you're my age trying to learn.
Well, I was going there, Don. I was going to go there, but I just let you do it.
What did we say earlier today? It's not old. We're just very experienced.
That's right.
We're just experienced, and we're very, very cautious about learning something at a very slow, deliberate pace.
Yep.
That's my excuse anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Well, you got right behind us here, right behind the stores, is Lynch Mountain Road, which is, we used to live on that road for a short while. I think I heard on some magazine it rated it as the most beautiful road in Georgia.
Oh, yes.
And it is a gorgeous, gorgeous road. Anybody that ever gets a chance ought to just drive down that road sightseeing. But you wrote two songs. One is this old mountain road, this old mountain road, and then the other one was Lynch Mountain Lament.
Lament.
I think
That's a tune. That's a tune.
we did that in D minor, I think. You got a banjo there that you can do in D minor? Try that one.
This might take some time here.
Okay.
So.
What's your other banjo? Yeah, that's another thing about this old-time banjo style of playing, clawhammer banjo. That you don't just have one banjo tuned up and just use a capo to change keys. It is the tradition to actually change the tuning a little bit when you switch to another key. And the old-time fiddle players do exactly the same thing, which is also different from bluegrass fiddle players. They'll get in a standard tuning and they stay there, and they just go up and down the neck. But with old-time, and it has something to do with the way that the open strings resonate with each other. It's not just a lazy practice. It actually enhances the sound of it when the tuning is just right for that particular key.
I hear a lot of people ask the difference between fiddle and violin,
Okay.
and I think
About
you're
a couple
hitting on that.
$1,000 bucks. A couple of $1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what they really say?
Maybe $1 million on some. In
What
some
they
cases.
really say, the difference between a violin and a fiddle is one has strings and the other has strings. That's what they say.
There you go.
Am I in? Well, we'll just go with it.
You're close enough for the likes
So,
of us.
I wrote this song when I was in Atlanta, and Joe was up here building our cabin, and this kind of gave me something to do. So we started out kind of slow. kind of got away from me there. I started there pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good old.
Well, one of us is out of tune, but that's all right. This is mountain music.
Yes,
That's
mountain
what we
music.
do.
Yep.
Well, Joe and Debbie, thank you so much for
Thank
stopping by and
you.
sharing
Thanks
your-
for having
your
us.
Yeah, thanks for
Uh,
We
thanks for
really
having
with
us.
us today and
appreciate
your knowledge of the music. Eric, thank you for joining today. And if you come by the old Salty store on most Saturday mornings, you can see Joe, Debbie, Eric, and myself sometimes out
Or
here.
a bunch of other people.
And a bunch of other people who we will save for later to bring on and hopefully share some of their experiences too. But
Yeah.
y'all, we just appreciate it so much coming
Hey,
by. And all
our pleasure, Don.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And,
We really enjoy and appreciate what you guys
What
are
you're
doing here
doing.
for the store.
Yeah.
Just bringing some new life and vitality here into this valley, and that's fantastic.
Well, all we need is the people to come and join in. So
Yep.
Yep.
spread the
There's
word.
always room for one more.
That's right.
Yep.
And
Bring your instrument.
we will see you next time
All
at
right.
the old
All right.
Salty store.
All right, take care, buddy.